We have an update on the story we first brought you back in January about 29-year-old Eli Pruitt, who has leukemia and needed a foster home for his dog Moose until his treatment is completed. When his friend Robert brought the story to our attention, the response to our coverage was incredible.
I've never been able to turn my back on things like family and stuff, even if it's counterproductive for me and not good. So it wouldn't be right to, I can't explain to him he's a dog. I can't be like, this is my situation right now. I'm sorry that things suck. So I just can't turn your back on someone like that or a pet.
This is why Eli Pruitt didn't surrender his dog to a shelter when he found out he had stage 4 leukemia. As his only family member, Moose had been there through thick and thin, and Eli was determined to do the same. His friend Robert Mann reached out to us for help, and with help from everyone who saw his story on Fox 23, Eli has had an outpouring of love and support. Since Eli is currently very sick and has been advised by doctors not to expose himself unnecessarily, he gave us permission to sit down with Robert to get an update on a possible bone marrow transplant.
We're still waiting for them to make their decision. He's got a whole team that's going over all those results. They drew blood and all the stuff that they have to take and run all the panels that they run. And his doctors are of the opinion that because he is as weak as he is, it may be a better course of action instead of doing the bone marrow transplant to run him through another chemical course of treatment.
So while Eli awaits confirmation on which type of treatment he'll receive, Robert also provided an update on where Eli is currently living. When we last spoke, Eli was living on property that belonged to his grandfather, who recently died. The property was in probate and had no water or electricity.
He has one court date to go to and sign a paper. They postponed that court date this last time because he was sick. I think it's supposed to be later this week or next week, and he'll sign one last piece of paper and he's ready to sell the house.
After our first story about Eli aired, offers to help came pouring in, with everything from money to home repairs to a childhood friend who saw the story and immediately threw Eli a lifeline.
I guess they saw it on the news and they called and said, "Man, what are you doing? Why didn't you call us?" And so the people he's staying with now used to live across the street from him. They kind of grew up together.
So Eli had a medical course of action. He had help with his living situation. He, of course, has a wonderful friend in Robert who has been helping with everything. But the one thing still missing was a foster family for Moose. That's where a wonderful stroke of fate with a touch of beautiful irony came into play. So you guys stepped up to the plate when you saw our story about Moose and about Eli being sick. What made you come forward to take on the care of a very large and somewhat unruly little critter like Moose?
So Mallory sent me the story on Facebook, and she sent it to me on Messenger and said, "I think we should do this," and no, I'm not kidding.
The irony of Kyle and Mallory Schmidt and their daughter Emily agreeing to foster Moose is that Emily was also recently fighting leukemia.
I went through chemotherapy. Went through an infusion about every weekish for about a year. And then I got put on maintenance chemo, which is just like a bunch of chemo pills every now and then an infusion.
Okay, so you are pretty much in the clear, correct?
Yeah. So, yeah.
A beautiful full circle moment. A young girl who beat leukemia giving back by fostering the dog of a man with leukemia.
Emily sent me the story, and at first I was like, absolutely not. She was like, "Mommy has leukemia, he needs help." And I'm like, no, like we already have 3 dogs, we've got kids, we're not doing it. And then I saw the story again. And the rescue that had him, that stepped up to do like the applicants and stuff like that, reposted his story, and they were like, "We haven't had a single applicant." And I was like, okay, that's because it's us.
All the pieces falling into place to help a man and his dog.
Walking through this journey with her, it takes a village. And if you don't have a village, it's real hard. So if we can be that village for someone else, we're happy to.
And we have been so happy to provide updates on Eli and Moose, and we will let you know once Eli has a clean bill of health and has Moose back. Until then, the Schmidts say he is fitting in nicely and enjoying playing with their 3 dogs and sleeping on the family's beds. And a big thank you to the Oklahoma Pet Collective Society, who helped find that perfect foster family.